New Landing's Job Chat is brought to you in part by the Prosperity Advisory Group, the next step in your financial future, and by the EBS Group with an unparalleled background in Oracle solutions and services.
You're looking for a job and you're contacted by a search firm. How do you best leverage this opportunity? You'll find out today on Job Chat. I'm Hector Silva, I'm your host, and our guest today is Mike Tracy.
Morning.
Welcome, Mike. Mike Tracy is the owner and managing principal of Omni Employment Management Services. He has over 25 years of professional human resources management experience with well-respected organizations such as Dayton Hudson Corporation, KCF PepsiCo, and Culinary Concepts Limited, a subsidiary of Hallmark Corporation. Michael is actively involved in professional and civic organizations within the Kansas City area and serves on several nonprofit boards and advisory groups. He completed his SPHR in 1994 and remains an adjunct faculty member within the graduate and undergraduate programs of Friends University. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks.
Michael, what's the best way for a job seeker to work with a search firm once you've contacted them, or should they be preparing in case somebody does contact them?
Yep. You know, I think the best way for someone to work with a search firm is to try to help ensure the search consultant does in fact have a good representation of what the client needs, and to recognize the search consultant is there to try to help ensure the client needs get met. Now, what that means is I'm not particularly hung up about the perfection of the resume. I'm not particularly hung up about some of the formalities you might find within the HR department of the company. I am hung up about I need somebody who's demonstrated to me they understand the client needs. And having the applicant be able to work with their search consultant on, well, what's the client need? And help me understand what they're trying to accomplish. And use this opportunity for a more informal discussion that you otherwise wouldn't have with a hiring manager is the way you'd work with the search consultant. You might ask the search consultant things you wouldn't ask the hiring manager. But I think it's important because use this opportunity to work with a third party whose job it is to make sure the fit is right, the needs are met. And they're not the HR department, so they're not the hiring manager. So ask some of the questions that you want to know so that you can size up whether or not you're the right fit. And the informality of that dialogue is what I think you have the opportunity to do when you're working with a third-party search person in the process. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. It does. I know that before you talked about the process where you deal with the company that's looking for someone and all of the back and forth you go with them to make sure that you understand what they need.
Mm-hmm.
The job seeker,
mm-hmm.
the person you're contacting, shouldn't they be going through a similar process with you?
Yes, they should. They should use this opportunity to make sure they understand what it is this client's looking for. Now, the hardest part about that is who's the buyer, who's the seller. If I don't have a job, I'm not that picky about what they need. I have needs. If I'm happily employed, but if you float past me an opportunity that I think I'd be able to jump on and really knock it out of the park, I might listen. So the interesting thing about the engagement of search person and applicant is who is the buyer and who's the seller? Because if I pick up the phone and I call you and you are the hottest commodity of sales and marketing professional in my competitor, or my client's competitor, I'm selling. And so the person I'm speaking to, is buying. And if I'm able to say, here's this opportunity, these guys are going to merge, they're going to grow, your organization, what are you going to be doing in the next 3 years? This might be the time and the place. All that being said, that interaction then of the applicant doing due diligence is always interesting, because those who have a need, their interest in due diligence is not as thorough as if you're currently employed and would make a big decision to make a change. So I guess that's an obvious and real issue that takes place. So I don't know if I answered that, but
Yep. I know that you get requests from companies.
Mm-hmm.
Can job seekers just come up to your door and say, hey, I have some skills that you may be able to use?
I think everybody, most professionals can enhance their career by having some acquaintances in the search field. Because adding some search people to your professional network is just a good thing to have on your radar. In the world of power networking, which is what I described, what we're going to do, I respect a professional out there that I call and say, hey, Jim, do you know anybody who'd be a great controller at this client? We're trying to help find somebody. And when Jim reciprocates and says, Mike, hey, we're on a first-name basis by now, right? I know 2 people. Hang on. I think they'd be perfect. I'm going to have them send their information to you. I now have a relationship with Jim. And there's going to be a day when I call Jim and I say, Jim, you're perfect for this. And the fact of the matter is, it's just another member of your professional network that you have built a relationship with one of those recruiter people that calls you on the phone one day. And I think leveraging that is exactly what you want to accomplish, no different than leveraging your network of relationships with peers and other companies that you might end up going to work for someday. So how to leverage a recruiting firm is presumptuous that I have a need, I need a job, can you help me? Well, no, unless you fit what I'm paid to go find somebody to do. But that's not a network, that's an ask. But leveraging a firm through a networking relationship and getting to know the search consultant and, yeah, Mike, well, let me think about that. Now I've created a reason for a two-way quid pro quo kind of opportunity, and over time we get to know people in certain fields and certain professions that we lean on for referrals, and they can then expect to be leaned on by us when they're ready to do something else. So leveraging a recruitment firm is leveraging a network and adding some competent people in the field and in other areas is an appropriate thing for people to do.
And it's more than just, hey, here's my resume.
Right.
You need to be able to sit down and let that person from that search firm know, let me tell you about some of the things I've accomplished. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you about some of the situations I've been in and how I've handled those. Because those are the type of questions that you're going to get.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. The other way to leverage that is not just tell me, but demonstrate it. Are you in the top 40 under 40 in Ingram's magazine? Do you write articles that show up in the Kansas City Business Journal in your field of expertise? Do you get involved in community activities and demonstrate certain leadership opportunities? Do you do anything that gives reason to take your professional brand and raise it above the fray. Leveraging a search firm. Well, we power network. Where do we go when we want to put a short list of that 150 people together that we want to target? I'm probably going to look at people who have taken that extra step and find someone who's demonstrated an aggressiveness to raise their profile. Leveraging a search firm in that respect is, in fact, making yourself visible. And those are the people that we find because they're visible and they've put themselves as president of their professional association, not a member. They've put themselves in a position to demonstrate leadership and expert in their field. So leveraging a firm in that way is sticking your head above the crowd in some way, shape, or form, other than just your job, which
so you want your name to be on other people's lips. You want people to be talking about you.
Stick your head up. Mm-hmm. Get involved.
And not necessarily just he's good at what he does.
Right.
But he has a lot more breadth to him.
That's right. That's right. Not only good at what he does, but connected, knows a lot of people, and demonstrates initiative to engage well beyond just what they get paid to do. No, you want to leverage a firm, a search firm. How do you get yourself noticed? And if you're the smartest bean counter in all the field of bean counting, nobody's going to know that unless somebody says it or you demonstrate it. And so in the professional space in particular, there's more competition for smart, good people. That's just getting your ticket punched. It's really about how have you demonstrated above and beyond that. Because a client will be more interested in attracting somebody who's already got some panache and already got some reputation or status in their field. And those are things that people can do to elevate their status so that they become visible to a search firm like ours or anybody, and that adds value to what they bring to the company.
So if you've been unfortunate enough to be quoting the numbers and been laid off for some reason, that doesn't stop you from staying with a nonprofit and becoming president of their board.
Exactly.
Or some other place where it might not be work, but it still demonstrates what you're capable of.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a distinction between a job and work and a profession. And if you're a professional advertising executive, then that's what you are. What does an advertising executive do? They get involved in lots of things in the community. They're in the Advertising Association. They're on the award ceremony for the Kansas City, Addy Awards. They do things. Now, whether they have a job or not at the moment is secondary. But people, I think, are better suited on their networking and career progress if they view themselves as a professional who happens to be employed at XYZ company right now. But next week it might be ABC company. And 2 months from now it might be no company. But I'm still an advertising executive professional. And nobody can take that away. And I'm not going to stop acting like one just because I don't happen to get a paycheck right now. And I think when people see themselves as a brand, I know you've had podcasts on personal branding, so it's all tied together. If your brand is you are an amazing advertising executive, then whether you're currently working or not is often secondary to the fact that you're known as an amazing advertising executive. And you never stop being an advertising executive in all other areas. That person continues to stay above the fray and is going to be seen and viewed and power networked through a search firm as somebody who's just a doggone great advertising executive here in town. And we want to probably talk to them. So does that make sense?
It doesn't.
Job
that would
profession.
Tell me then that your ears are always perked up and you're always listening for names of people who are making some sort of inroads or doing something that is bringing their name out.
Bringing their name out and demonstrating they continue to be progressive in their profession. Yes.
So whether or not you know it, word is getting out.
It does. It does, yeah.
And likewise, from that power network you're talking about, whether you are employed or not employed, you should still be dealing with those people that you've always dealt with.
Absolutely.
And making sure that they're aware that you are either looking for a job or always looking to improve in your job.
A job is just the way you get paid for your profession. You're a teacher, you're a teacher. Whether you're working or not is secondary. You're a doctor, you're a doctor. Whether you get paid, whether you took a sabbatical, you're still a doctor. And I think that's where I think it's very valuable to especially for the seeker to recognize, well, what is your profession? What are you? And whether you're working or not, okay, fine, I get it. That's where you prove that you're good. But if you start thinking of yourself as no longer a professional because I don't have a job, well, that's saying, well, I'm not a doctor anymore. I'm not employed by a hospital. Until I get employed again, I'm not. You're always a doctor, you know. And so that mindset is actually, I think, quite powerful in the job seeker, and their ability to continue to remain in their profession, regardless of whether they're employed or not.
So if you're not employed and somebody asks, what do you do for a living? The first word should be, I'm a controller.
That's right. I'm a financial executive.
Right. I don't currently have a position.
That's right.
But that's what I am.
That's my profession. And when I don't get paid for it, I'm doing a volunteer at my church. I'm part of the Kansas City Accounting Association, or whatever it happens to be. And I'm still actively involved. And, yeah, I don't happen to have an employer right now. And so I'm looking to find an organization that needs another financial and accounting professional. Because that's what I am.
And you never know if Mike Tracy is sitting at the next table at lunch and listening to this.
You never know. You never know.
Well, Mike, I'm glad you're at this table with us today. And if somebody wanted to contact you, get more information, where could they reach you?
Well, I can be reached most easily through our website, omniemployment.com, or our phone number is 913-341-2119.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
You're welcome.
You can hear more advice and information from Mike Tracy on this and other podcasts he's done with us, and other experts that we've had on our podcast on www.newlandingsjobchat.org. Or you can also go to YouTube and just put in Job Chat. Until next time, may your days be full of health, happiness, and success.